will fly.
Hi guys, my name is Mr. Iveco and welcome to another Destiny Gun series video. In this video I'll be covering pulse rifles, the basics, my tips and tricks and all of that good stuff. So let's get straight to them. What are the basics? Well, pulse rifles are a burst fire weapon. They can come in 3 sets. They are slow, medium and fast rate of fire weapons depending on which one you get. They have differing stats and impact rates. They don't have one stat over all of them. They're really balanced, so they can usually be adapted to any playstyle, from the aggressive, passive aggressive to defensive, depending on what pulse rifle you like the most. Right, so what pulse rifle is best for you? Now, we have 3 archetypes. We have the slow rate of fire to heavy impact, the medium ground pulse rifle, and the fast rate of fire to a low impact. So if you're someone that's more accurate with your shots and you can consistently hit headshots, or you get the occasional body shot than the headshot, I'd recommend a slow firing pulse rifle like the Messenger, which is on screen. If you can get a perk like Head Seeker as well, usually this will double your damage once you if you hit one body shot and then go up to the head. This will usually get you better damage and more chance of a kill. So if you're accurate, I'd use a slow firer. If you have a decent aim, you don't consistently hit headshots, and you're not too bad at, with your weapon and accuracy, I'd definitely go with a medium like the 55A All Fate Pulse Rifle, which is obtainable from the Vanguard Quartermaster for 150 marks. If you're less of an accurate shooter, I mean you can't consistently hit targets and you miss quite a lot of your shots, I'd probably go for a faster pulse rifle. Just for the fact they usually have a bigger magazine, which means you can get more shots off, you've got more chances to hit the enemy, and just by having a fast rate of fire pulse rifle, it could usually mean hopefully you'll spray enough bullets into them to get the kill in the end. An example of a fast rate of fire pulse rifle could be the 123 Sizgi, which I believe is obtainable through the Crucible Quartermaster, or it's through Vanguard Dragon, I can't remember at the moment, and the Conduit, which is obtainable from Future War Cult for 150 Crucible marks. Right, so what are the important stats? Now this is debatable and this is only my opinion, so feel free to voice yours in the comment section below. Now for me, on pulse rifles, the #1 stat has to be stability. This is just due to the fact that with any pulse rifle from any archetype, you're going to get recoil no matter what, whether it be horizontal or vertical recoil. With pulse rifles, if you can manage the recoil like I can on this Messenger, because I have counterbalance, and keep them straight firing, they can be a very lethal weapon in the right hands. And it also reduces the amount of skill that the user has to have to try and get the kill. So stability is my #1 stat. My #2 stat has to be range. Now, as I said in the beginning, pulse rifles are multi-purpose weapons. You could be going from a close range engagement to shooting across the map on Pantheon, for example, like in this gameplay. So you need a rifle that has a good amount of range so that you don't get damage drop off, which basically means if I'm shooting across the map, my max damage is usually 38, where if I'm shooting at long range, I want to be hitting 38 damage, not having what I call a drop off, so starting to lose damage once the range goes higher. Because I've seen in some examples I'll go from having 38 damage to literally losing down to 20, which can usually end up getting you killed. My final stat is impact, and it's pretty much a universal stat. It's one of those stats you've got to have, really. You've got to have a decent impact rate. Now this doesn't usually apply on the medium and slow firing pulse rifles. This is more applicable to the fast firing like the Conduit, because usually I like to get a pretty decent amount of impact on that, so I can pretty much guarantee a good amount of damage when I hit my shots. Okay, so let's move on to my perk rolls. Again, entirely debatable. Leave in the comments if you think I'm wrong or I'm right, or your recommended loadouts. Right, for scopes, really doesn't matter. Entirely up to you on scopes. My first perk has to be between Feeding Frenzy and Spray and Play. Now, Feeding Frenzy, if you're getting regular kills and you're maximising the amount of kills you're getting and you're right up in the thick of the enemy lines, I'd use Feeding Frenzy. It's the same perk that's on the Thunderlord, which after a kill you increase your rate of fire. So on a pulse rifle this can almost give you an instantaneous reload after a kill, which could be the difference between you getting 3 more kills or dying because you don't have ammo. Spray and plays for more if you're a prolific shooter and you find yourself emptying the magazine on a regular basis. If that's the case, I'd recommend using this just to make sure that you get a quicker reload at the end of your magazine. Right, so moving on to the mid column, my 3 top choices have to be high caliber rounds, speed reload, and braced frame. Now, high caliber rounds is effective just like on a scout rifle. If you can hit your shots, you'll send the enemy's aim sky high, and this can really screw them up in a one-on-one firefight. And 9 times out of 10, the person with high caliber rounds is usually the one that will get the kill. It's very rarely that if someone gets hit with high caliber rounds, they can recover and fight back. So my first perk, recommended middle perk, has to be high caliber rounds. My second perk would be speed reload. Now, if you were to take this pulse rifle recommended load, I would. You're either going to take Feeding Frenzy or Spray and Play. And by having speed reload, what this does is maximizes your other reload. So if you're using Spray and Play and you need to reload after a kill, speed reload's obviously going to help with that. Or if you use Feeding Frenzy and you run out of ammo, speed reload's going to help for that. And then finally I have Braced Frame. Now, this is kind of a perk that's the lesser of all evils, as I'd say. It buffs your stability at reduced magazine size. Now, out of all of them, this is probably the best choice, but I really wouldn't recommend it. I'd probably go with either the speed reload or high caliber rounds. And personally, I use high caliber rounds on my 55A All Fate. I use Feeding Frenzy, high caliber rounds, and Hidden Hand, which I will move on to now. So my third tree of perks has to be, I have my top 3 choices are Hidden Hand, Glass Half Full, and Head Seeker. Now, Hidden Hand improves your aim assist. So what I mean by this is if you find yourself in a lot of engagements where people are strafing left to right, so let me say you're fighting that pesky sniper who keeps dipping in and out of cover, moving from side to side, and basically being a pain in the ass. Having a higher aim assist means that you'll have a higher chance of your weapon auto-locking onto an enemy target's head. Now, for some people this is a help, for others it's a hindrance. Again, entirely up to you. My second one is Glass Half Full. Now, this is more for a fast and medium rate of fire pulse rifles. And what this does is the bottom half of the magazine does extra damage. So if you've got a 30 round magazine, for example, the last 15 bullets will have a damage modifier of, I say, about 1.5 added to them. So these bullets can then do extra damage, which in turn can probably guarantee you a kill rather than a death. So if you find yourself as a prolific shooter, maybe Spray and Play and Glass Half Full would be a good loadout for you. Now, my final perk, Head Seeker, is good usually for slow rate of fire pulse rifles. Now, on the messenger here I have Head Seeker. So what this does is after body shots you'll have, when you hit a critical, you get chance to, well, you don't get a chance, you increase your damage output on the enemy. So this is especially effective with pulse rifles because your aim recoils upwards most of the time. So you can aim for the chest and basically have the bullets recoil upwards. So this is especially helpful. Right, so let me go to my recommended pulse rifles and what to start with. Well, my 3 choices have to be the Messenger, the Hopscotch Pilgrim, and the 55A All Fate. Now, the Messenger has to be my top choice. It is personally my favourite weapon. Some people argue it's OP, but I don't really care. It's an awesome weapon all around, and is very customizable to a user's needs. My second one, the 55A All Fate, is just a great middle ground weapon. I call it a template weapon, because you can literally build your own pulse rifle. It's like a Build-A-Bear workshop in a pulse rifle. You can make your own perks, you can make your own style with it, and you can make a ridiculously powerful weapon. And finally, the Hopscotch Pilgrim. Now, this is more of a little bit of an unknown pulse rifle because many people play Vanguard Dragon. I've been grinding to get this one. Sadly, I do not own it yet. Wish I did, but I don't. It's a really, really good weapon. If you can get that with Feeding Frenzy, high caliber rounds possibly, and Head Seeker, I've heard that to be an extremely potent combination, can be especially lethal in the Crucible. Okay, so I'm just going to go over a few little tips before I end this video for pulse rifles. My number one tip has to be, if you're using a medium and slow rate of fire pulse rifles, don't get in the front of combat. I recommend staying behind, letting your teammates who are playing aggressive with the blink shotgun go ahead, and usually you can mop up your kills. Is it a bit scrubby? Yes, but at the end of the day, if you want the kills, you get the kills. So I'd say hold back a little bit and keep an eye on what your team are doing and intervene if you see certain situations where you can get a kill. Right, my second tip is aim for the body. Now, half of you are probably going, what the fuck? Basically, what you can do with pulse rifles is they recoil upwards. 9 times out of 10 on most pulse rifles, they will recoil horizontally. Now, if you've got a perk like Head Seeker, you can aim for the chest and the gun will automatically recoil shots up towards the head. So you can end up bursting 1 into the chest and 2 into the head. And if you've got something like Head Seeker, this maximizes your damage potential, meaning you've got a higher chance of getting that 2-burst kill on, let's say, the Messenger being the prime example. But it can also work on the All Fate as well and the Hopscotch Pilgrim. So that would be my second tip. And my third and final tip has to be know your pulse rifle. You have to get a pulse rifle for you. There's not one for everyone. There's not a set pulse rifle. There's not a set something that I can say, right, here you go, have this is the template. You're guaranteed 100 kills. Try and experiment with them, try and find pulse rifles, try them out, see what you think, and then if you're comfortable with a pulse rifle, let's say you get the groove with it and you start to understand how to use it, then go on from there and start getting perk rolls, possibly my recommended perks, or use your own. It's entirely up to you, but definitely get some practice with them, even if it's going against some dregs in Earth Patrol. We've all done it. I've done it before just to get practice with the Messenger when I first used it, because I absolutely used to suck with it. I used to never be able to hit critical shots with it, but I practiced sniping dregs in Earth Patrol with it, and generally I got better and better, took myself to the Crucible, and, well, not to tout my own horn, I say I did pretty decent in this game with it. But yeah, that's been my tips. So definitely also know your pulse rifle. Right, I'm going to end the video here. I hope this was helpful. Give us a like and subscribe for more of these Destiny gun videos. The content will coming out thick and fast. And be sure to tune in for Wednesday for my Taken King, my tips for what to do on the Taken King. So I'm going to go and leave you all alone. Peace out. Thanks for watching. I've been Mr. Oveco. Bye.